The day I bought those 58 acres of farmland just outside Willowbrook HOA, I had no clue I'd just signed the death warrant for a neighborhood tyrant. Seriously, not a clue. 3 weeks later there I was standing behind my new gate watching Karen Peaton, the one and only HOA president, roll up with bolt cutters in hand, Channel 7 news cameras right behind her, looking like she was about to storm Normandy. Steel screeching, Karen screaming, and me, I just leaned on the fence and watched her try to break in, yelling that my land was community access and I was going to regret blocking her path. She had no idea she'd just pulled the pin on the grenade that was about to blow up 12 years of her dirty little empire, stolen money, threats, broken families, the works. Trust me, by the time I was finished, Karen Peaton learned exactly what regret looked like up close and personal. And hey, while you're here, drop your location in the comments. Where are you watching from? Because this story, it goes way beyond HOA drama. This is a full-on revenge saga. Let me back up a sec, though, so you can see how a guy like me ended up in a war with the queen of the suburbs. 6 months earlier, I was just Marcus Bellamy, 45, freshly divorced, trying to put myself back together after my marriage went down like a condemned building 20 years poof. All I wanted was some peace, maybe a workshop where I could rebuild old motorcycles and my own life at the same time. Willowbrook looked perfect, quiet, lots of pines, a house that felt honest. The realtor mentioned the HOA like it was some kind of blessing. I didn't know any better. Then I met Karen. Karen Peaton, 52. Blonde bob you could bounce quarters off of, always in pastel cardigans like she was auditioning for Stepford Wives' Suburban Dictator edition. Her white Lexus parked dead center in her driveway house, all columns and fake colonial flair, practically screaming "Bow before me, peasants." Her husband Dave was gone half the year, some big pharma exec, so Karen had nothing but time and a burning passion for wrecking people's lives. She'd been HOA president for 12 years, unopposed, of course. Anyone who stood up to her got buried under violation notices faster than you could say property value. My education in HOA politics started about 3 weeks after I moved in. I'd built a simple woodworking shed, just a spot to escape, maybe make something that didn't end in heartbreak. Saturday morning, I'm sanding a cabinet door and suddenly I hear that voice. You know, the one like a banshee chewing on tinfoil? Excuse me, this is completely unacceptable. There she is, pressed up to my fence, measuring tape, clipboard face twisted like she'd found a war crime in her petunias. This illegal structure violates setback requirements. Remove it immediately or face $500 daily fines. The snap of her measuring tape was sharp enough to kill flies. Ma'am, I measured carefully, it's 4 feet off the property line. Don't care your amateur measurements are 2 inches too close. I'm documenting everything. But when I pulled out my permits and a real survey proving her wrong, Karen's face turned the color of spoiled milk. Intent to circumvent community standards is as serious as an actual violation. You think you're clever. The neighbors peeked out through curtains, wide-eyed. Yeah, this had happened before. That evening, with a mug of cold coffee and a stack of HOA bylaws thicker than my divorce decree, I started digging. Here's the thing about engineers, we see patterns in chaos. That's when Mrs. Rodriguez leaned over the fence and whispered the truth. Mr. Patterson forced to destroy his garden, young couple fined for a crying baby, 3 families run off in 2 years. This wasn't about standards, it was about power and intimidation. Willowbrook had 67 homes, tech workers, government folks, regular people paying $180 a month, supposedly for landscaping and pool upkeep. What we were really buying was Karen's own little Gestapo phony violations, made-up crises, and total control. But Karen didn't know me. 20 years with a manipulative ex-wife taught me all about psychological warfare, and my engineering brain works best when you push me. She thought I was just another pushover. She had no idea I was the kind of guy who doesn't roll over he plans. Carefully. Karen's whole play was built on fear. Keep people scared, keep them ignorant. Remove that and she's just another bully with a clipboard. So I became her worst nightmare, a neighbor who fights back. A week after the shed incident, I got my first certified letter, $200 fine for non-compliant exterior paint. Attached was a blurry photo of my house, a demand to repaint. Thing is, my house was builder beige, same as half the street. I checked the HOA docs. Nowhere did this required color exist. She'd made it up. But I document everything and I started pulling county records. 3 hours and $47 in copy fees later, I found that any rule changes required a 60% homeowner vote. Karen had been making up emergency architectural guidelines for years. Next morning, I strolled by Karen's house, snapped photos of her own violations: fence too high, non-approved shutters, illegal driveway extension. By now, I had a full gallery of her hypocrisy. Over the fence, Mrs. Rodriguez filled me in. Patterson family forced to remove a legal deck. Sarah's toddler cited for laughing too loud. Williams cited for aggressive lawn mowing. Karen weaponized paperwork like other people swing baseball bats. Time to counterattack. I filed a request for 5 years' worth of architectural approvals legally. The HOA had 10 days to cough up the paperwork. Karen went nuclear, called an emergency HOA meeting, called me a disruptive newcomer, and pointed at me like I was patient zero for a neighborhood plague. But I stood up, folder in hand, laid out my photos. Your fence section 4.7. Your shutter section 6.2. Your driveway section 3.4. And the paint thing doesn't exist. You made it up. Karen turned every shade of angry. Her loyalist board didn't know what to do. They needed legal review. Well, the bluff was called. But Karen's revenge was swift: a thicker, meaner certified letter commercial vehicle fine for my work truck. Only problem, Karen's husband's pharma sedan was in the background of her own photo company logo blazing. Her rules only applied to others. So I dug into 5 years of HOA finances. Every contract, landscaping, pool, snow removal funneled through Karen's family. Over $180,000 stolen in 5 years. Maria and I started organizing a recall petition, needed just 25% of signatures, 17 homes. My garage became Resistance HQ. Of course, Karen had spies. Her minion, Mrs. Caldwell, ratted us out, and Karen fired off foreclosure threats to every troublemaker. That's when I learned HOAs could really foreclose on homes for fines, even fake ones, and fighting it could bankrupt a family. Karen wasn't just a bully, she was a financial terrorist. But I wasn't folding. That week I discovered 58 acres of farmland up for sale bordering the HOA outside Karen's reach. I bought it. Next, a call from Detective Morrison. Someone had reported HOA fund irregularities. I showed him my files. Meanwhile, Karen tried another extortion move: mandatory inspections by a company run by her brother-in-law. $12,000 to fix problems that didn't exist. My engineer buddy Jake came out, scanned my foundation, declared it flawless, and exposed her fake business. The next meeting, I laid it all out: Jake's report, the sham company, the financial records. Karen's face went from sunrise to sunset in 2 minutes flat. She tried to file city code violations on me, claimed my woodworking hobby was illegal commercial activity. The city inspector, Tom, laughed it off, said if my little shed was a business, every Texan with a toolbox was a criminal. But the real twist: when I dug through paperwork for my new land, I found letters. Karen secretly negotiating with Meridian Development to sell our pool and park, using HOA power to drive out families who might vote against it. Her harassment of me was all about trying to control the land she needed for her developer deal. My locked gate blocked her big payday. With all that evidence, I went to Detective Morrison. The investigation heated up. Karen panicked, vandalized my irrigation at 3 a.m., caught on night vision cameras. Thank you very much, dumped her own bathroom trash on my field and blamed me. Tried to smear me on Facebook, even offered me a $5,000 bribe to remove the gate, caught on audio. Rebecca Walsh from the Chronicle picked up the story headline: Suburban Dictator's Secret Development Deal. The neighborhood woke up. Karen called a meeting, tried to paint me as unstable, called the cops on me again. I showed them video and audio evidence. Her last move: tried to extend the HOA's reach over my land by changing the bylaws and calling my boss, telling him I was dangerous. My boss just laughed, told her to get lost. Meridian offered me $800,000 for my farm if I'd just give up the gate. Their letter threatened alternative methods. I called the detective. Now it was blackmail and criminal threats. The night of the final HOA meeting, the place was packed. Karen rolled in with her lawyers, tried one last time to control the narrative. I walked to the front, played the video of her destroying my property. The audio of her offering the bribe showed the financial records. The crowd lost it. Mrs. Rodriguez stood up. So did the Pattersons and Sarah from Maple Street. Story after story about Karen's abuse, her reign of fear. Detective Morrison stepped forward. Badge out. Karen Peaton. You're under arrest for embezzlement, fraud, filing false police reports, and vandalism. Handcuffs clicked and Karen tried to claim she was the victim, but nobody believed her anymore. With Karen gone, the board voted to suspend all her fake fines and audit the finances. The new board, Mrs. Rodriguez as president, the Pattersons as treasurer, Sarah as secretary. Families were welcomed back, the Hendersons moved home, the Kowalskis returned. My farm turned into the community's pride, farmers markets, CSAs, walking trails, kids laughing, not scared. The gate stood tall now, a symbol of standing up to bullies. The story hit national news. Rebecca won awards. Sarah started a legal practice defending other neighborhoods. That gate strategy became a model for fighting back. Turns out sometimes the best way to fight power is to step just out of its reach, then block the path with a little common sense and a lot of documentation. Last week, Mrs. Rodriguez asked if I'd run for city council. Maybe. For now, I'm content listening to laughter echo across fields where Karen once dreamed of condos. And I hope this story helps you realize you're not alone. Got your own HOA horror story? Drop it in the comments. Let's build a community that stands up to the Karens of the world. And hey, hit subscribe if you want more real stories about beating corruption with truth, patience, and a locked gate in just the right spot. Because sometimes refusing to be intimidated is the best revenge there is, you know what I mean?